ready to convene the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Side.
I don't see anyone here for open. I don't see anyone here for open forum unless somebody knows of somebody.
No.
Just another note, this meeting is being recorded by Westborough TV. And Carolyn will be unable to come today. Kristen? Carolyn can't make it today.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is approving the October 20th meeting minutes. Anyone had a chance to review?
You have some comments? Got some comments? In the director's report, the month of October and July should go through September. Council on Aging roster discussion was the size discussion, not the roster. And in the officer election schedule paragraph, the officers are voted on and take effect.
Could you repeat the three items? Is the one in, you have it?
Yep.
Okay.
It was the wrong one, and so the word roster size, and instead of take place, take effect.
Okay.
So instead of
Size.
oh, size, thank you.
Any other comments on changes to the meeting minutes? Any motions
Move to accept the minutes as amended.
with amendments? Okay.
I
Okay.
second it.
Okay. So Marilyn. Everyone approve?
Sure.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Aye, sure.
So voted. Okay. Senior.
That's okay.
I have to get used to new titles, it's longer.
Yeah.
The Senior and Social Service Director report.
Sure. I wanted to start, Catherine, if you wanna, I don't know if everyone's had the chance to meet Catherine yet. This is her second week. She is our new outreach coordinator. So if you remember Stephanie, she replaced Stephanie's position. Do you wanna just say a very brief introduction?
Sure, my name is Catherine Cowden. It's nice to meet all of you. I come from public housing in Worcester of 24 years, so I'm here to start helping the town of Westborough. It's nice to meet all of you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
All right. So our September bus summary, if you remember, my report in October did not have the September dates back yet. So for the month of September, we had a total of 340 rides. October had an average daily attendance of 51.62 people, 105.98 volunteer hours were worked, and we do not yet have the stats for October.
Kendra, can I ask a question on the bus summary? Is that more rides than the recent month, or is it up?
So I would have to go back and check. They're kind of staying around the same. which we started off a little bit slower. I think that we're kind of starting to see that we're evening out. And that maybe around that 340, 350 mark is where we'll kind of level out. I will say, in my opinion, we'll probably see an increase as the weather gets bad, just because there's an increase in people who are fearful in driving themselves. That's not always a guarantee, because at the same time that's happening, there are a lot of appointments that people cancel because they're nervous to leave their houses, so it kind of goes both ways. But I would say that around 300 to 350 is probably what we're going to settle into, unless, we see more of an increase in certain users.
Thank you. Kendra, excuse me, I'd like a clarification because of one of the Willows residents. To come here for a program or whatever, is that a van ride or WRTA also?
So the only time that you would call here to schedule a ride if it's a senior center activity on a Tuesday evening. Other than that, you always call the WRTA, and that is only because the WRTA service hours end before our Tuesday evenings. So anything during the day, even to come up here, you would call the WRTA. The only time that you would call us to book a ride would be if we have a dinner, for example. That's when we would have a bus on the road that would be the senior centers.
Okay, good.
Yes, and it's also advertised that way. So when we post, for example, we had the Diwali dinner, we told people in the newsletter to call the senior center for their ride. If it doesn't say that, assume that you call the WRTA.
Some people are having trouble getting rides with the WRTA. They're booked up, not available.
Marilyn, I'm sorry,
From the Willows.
That's just not the case. Even if our buses are full, they will send a yellow cab. So I think that maybe they might be struggling to book the ride correctly, which we're happy to help with, but there is no such thing as them being too full.
They just have to call WRTA.
Yes. Yeah, so there's no such thing as them, they haven't turned anybody away from Westborough.
All right, I'll double check with the people
Yeah.
who are talking to me.
Yeah, that's definitely just not the case.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. So some of the bigger events that we had in the last month were Diwali. Your own Mirtha was one of the performers. She is part of our Bollywood dancing group. We actually had about 90 people that came here for dinner that evening, which was a really great showing. It was a lot of fun. We had a really nice young woman come in and talk a little bit about Diwali, what the holiday meant, what the festival meant, and then our own Bollywood dancing class did some performing, as well as some of the different dance groups in the community, which was great. There were also some young women that were doing henna tattoos. So that is a program that was grant funded, so that it was free to the senior center, which is also why we were able to provide so much food, which was really great as well. We had our Halloween party. The senior center supporters are the ones that put that on. It was very successful. It was a good chance for people to come and visit. I will say, I think that they had some limited numbers because it was the same day as town meeting, so it had to be kind of at an off time. It was a very early dinner. Hopefully next year we're a little bit more flexible with our schedule where we don't have to have it on that same Tuesday and we can have more of a dinner meal, because it did start at 3 o'clock, which is a tricky meal time. All of our Shine Open Enrollment appointments have been taken. We had, I think at last I checked, around 25 people on the wait list for appointments, and unfortunately, to the best of our ability, trying to find other appointments for people, it seems that all the senior centers in the area have been booked at this point. Always encouraged to try, if you're still waiting for an appointment, to try and call the different centers.
Just want to know, we had a council member dressed up as a mom.
Sister Linda,
Sister Linda.
you're in here, Sister
You're in
Linda.
Oh,
You make a very good nun.
Oh,
We did, I will say, most of the people that came for the Halloween lunch were dressed, well, about 50-50, about half dressed up. We had, this morning we had our Veterans Day breakfast, which will be in my next report, but that was great. We had about 75 people, which was really great to see. A lot of last minute signups because we were hovering around 20 last week, so the text blasts from my senior center definitely have worked. This weekend is the Senior Center Supporters Holiday Fair that will be on Saturday. This Saturday they have flyers out if you want more information. November 17th we have Donuts with the Director in the morning, and then at lunchtime we have the Boston Post Cane Celebration, which is the oldest resident in town being pinned by the town clerk, and the selectmen will also, or the select board will also be in attendance, and she is turning 104. Wow. Great.
Who is it?
Bunny
Karen.
Bunny Perrin.
Oh, she lives at the Willows.
Yes.
Yes.
So she will be here celebrating her 104th birthday. We have a Mugford's floral arranging program. We have the holiday dinner on December 23rd, January 6th. I'm doing a presentation also as part of the grant. On the Azores, the American Mahjong group is starting to take off. We have a consistent group of 4 or 5 that are playing every Wednesday. We are trying to build that. The Bollywood dance program is relatively new. That continues to grow in numbers, which is great. And the Skippo game night is at 5:30 every Tuesday. It's a card game. It's similar kind of to Uno. I guess it's like a set of cards. Yep. We have some pictures. We had our first Japanese cooking class with Chef Asako, which went really well. She did a sushi making program. We also had Double 9 Day, which in China is considered Senior Citizen Day. So Tammy had noodle making to celebrate, which is the picture on the bottom and the top corner. We've got Guido, Bill, and Bert making Halloween lunch, and Mirtha, after she had some help from me to get dressed for her Bollywood dancing performance.
Yeah, I didn't know that was part of your job requirement, but I want to thank you.
It was just added.
When,
oh my gosh.
When Kim and
It's
I
a nice
talked,
picture.
it was duties as required.
Well,
so that was,
thank
that was
you.
one that was
I appreciate it. I needed help.
unanticipated but
And you also helped take off the outfit.
I did.
Were those outfits donated? You do have to bring your own.
No, they were from our dance instructor. She brought, I think, for the whole class except one woman had her own.
Yes.
She brought different outfits for people to use while they were performing, which was really great. And actually, one of the women that came ended up getting a sweater from her car and giving me the shirt that she was wearing. So that, which was very.
That's really going beyond.
Yeah.
Very nice of her. But it was great. The Diwali dinner was, I will say, it was lots of fun. It was great to have that many people here.
I'll be happy to autograph pictures later if you want that.
The food was
I
exceptional.
have my pen.
Yeah, we had a lot of luck with our caterer too. It's I think everything for that worked out
It was fun.
really well.
A lot of
Very
fun.
good time. And the 17-year-old who came to speak, was she 17?
No, she was a 7th grader,
Oh
so
my
I think
gosh, she's
I think
older.
7th graders are like 12 or 13.
She did a great job presenting what it's all about.
Yeah.
It was adorable.
That's it for me.
Any other questions for our director? Make a motion to accept the report. Ev and Linda? Okay, next discussion will be on the Council of Aging goals. I assume everyone's had a chance to glance at the implementation plan.
I have a general question on it. When I was reading through, it said year 1, 2, and 3, and the implementation plan assessment says October 24th, 2023. So when was year 1, 2, and 3 supposed to be? Anybody know?
When is it?
And it started in January of '24.
24, 25, and 26. And some say underway, which I'm not aware of anything really being underway.
Then, can you just recognize
Well,
him?
that's right.
Can you give your hand speak to that? Can you speak to that? Yes.
The committee should explain.
You talk too low to me, and I talk too low to them.
Oh, that's okay.
Anyway,
I'm not sure the bulk of it.
Kim can help us on any
Yeah.
advice and follow up on that.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts in having looked at this, dusted it off, looked at it. The plan was finalized in October of 2023, so 2 years ago. That's also about the time when we started having some significant transitions. That's the period in which the purchase of the community center building was approved. So I think when you look at the timeline as anticipated, and then if we look at all of the transition that's happened since that time, a starting point now might be to go back through, identify things that, where there has been progress, whether there's progress or if things have been completed. And then we could potentially look at, those dates are somewhat artificial, I think, because certain things didn't move forward by virtue of everything else going on. So the board, the select board, we presented this to the select board. I think at this point, if the council, if we were to do that update, I can go through, I can work with Kendra, we can work to sort of update it, maybe put some notes in it, and then potentially the council looks at are there areas in here that were identified as things that the council could support or work that the council could do. And then the council could maybe reprioritize some of those items, and or
Yes.
some of them are very broad and don't get into the detail about what you would actually engage in. So that would be my suggestion for sort of a starting off point rather than trying to tackle too much at once.
I think
So if that might be
That sounds
helpful.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Reprioritize, because it's been almost, 2 years and a
years.
lot has happened.
Yeah. The timing of this, the work on the implementation plan was happening during the summer, at which point the town was in negotiations, the select board was in negotiations with the developer who was selling 1500 Union Street. That was all happening confidentially in executive session, and once that became public, that was just about the time we were close to finishing the implementation plan. So there are things in the implementation plan that talk about the space needs here and figuring out what to do next, and some of that was effectively addressed by purchasing that building. So obviously the piece that hasn't happened is the building has not yet been fit up and the senior center has not moved there, but we have identified the location where we expect that to happen. So admittedly, the timing, when you look at some of the recommendations, I think in fact, the version I have has October 24th on it. That's right about the time too that town meeting approved moving forward with the purchase of that building. So that's why that wasn't acknowledged in this document, because that had been up until, I think, that early fall. There was not public knowledge that that was being negotiated.
That makes a lot more sense
Yeah.
when you just read
Yep.
this. Okay.
Yep. But I also think since then, there's some things we can provide updates on. For instance, we implemented the model, the transportation model with the WRTA. I think that might address some aspects of the transportation needs, but not everything, and or there might be some finer points to identify now that we have that model in place. So given the changes that have happened, I think it's worth looking at, like, mapping that all out and then figuring out next steps.
What is the medical escort program? I don't even know what that is.
That was a program that up until July 1st would have, a volunteer would contact Mary Ellen and be put on a list. And then when somebody needed to attend a doctor's appointment out of town, she would call that volunteer
Oh, I
and they
was
would
one of those.
bring
I didn't
that.
know that's what it was called.
Well, that was me. You probably weren't the only one who didn't know that I had it. But that, in part, there were a lot of liability concerns around that. But also now that we have the WRTA model, it doesn't address transportation to all medical facilities that people necessarily wish to access. But it does now add Worcester,
Worcester, Marlborough Hospital, the Southborough Reliant Facility, any doctor's office in Shrewsbury or Northborough.
Because I was driving actually to Framingham. I
Yeah.
usually had the same person.
Yeah, so we realize there are still some gaps, but it might, again, sort of updating it, identify where maybe we've expanded some services, but where we still may have gaps.
Okay, so, I knew as I looked through all those pages that a lot of things are already, have been done, or ongoing, or in play, or, you know, you can tell by it, so it needs to be smaller summary for now.
I think Kim and I will have a chance to go through it, now that, you guys are looking at it, and probably be able to, in some places, summarize and explain what we've already done, and then in other places, maybe there's stuff like the medical rides that aren't really happening anymore, different things that could be removed.
Linda?
If I may, I'd like to see the transportation issue. We still do not have transportation on Saturdays and Sundays in the town for folks that want to go to their specific church services. And it may be a dream, but I would love to see that stay on this list of priorities for the foreseeable future.
Carolyn?
Where does the distribution of the newsletter stand? And is the Willows one of the places where it would be distributed? Because I've never
Yeah.
seen it there. I bring it myself when I get a new one, but I don't see it actually a pile like they used to be at the condo clubhouse.
Right, so to get it to those locations, somebody would have to pick them up here. We're not printing as many right now because we're still working through the publisher issue. But at any point, if you would like to bring a stack over, you are welcome to. We just don't really have the ability to transport them ourselves to all the different locations. We do kind of rely on people who come here to bring them back.
When
to
do
those different
you think you
locations.
will have that address finished? Because it seems it's been going on for a while that we haven't really been getting the newsletter.
Well, we're printing it in-house, so everybody that signed up is still getting theirs mailed to them. As far as a new publisher, we're in the middle of, kind of trying to figure out, unfortunately, there's not a lot of companies that do what we would need them to do. So I don't exactly have a timeline, but we are still working on it. And
So how many would I be able to take then? You don't look, it doesn't appear as though there's a huge stack sitting out there.
Yeah.
Just one suggestion, if there are facilities in town that are interested and would be willing to print them for their residents, we can get them the files so that they could also print it in-house and have it available. I think there are some facilities that are probably willing to do that and to help out.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as if the Willows, if there's people that are interested, they're all available online. So if they have a resident who's interested, they could go online and print it for them.
Not everybody can do that.
No.
At our age.
No,
I have enough trouble.
But the Willows could do it for you.
We could provide a limited number, maybe 4 or 5 for you to bring, but the Willows could also bring them up and print them for any residents that are interested.
As a side note to the needs, the goals, I did reach out to the Affordable Housing Trust chairperson. And of course, he's since changed, it's a new chairperson, so I'm waiting to hear back from the new one. And so that will be on a future agenda.
Kendra, are you looking for a printer who just prints or one that sells ads in it as well?
So, I think right now we're looking to get our best options, but we are looking for someone that would sell ads. But we specifically want it so that we are not mailing them in-house here. The way that they were being distributed before, they would come to the senior center in a box. We would have a series of volunteers that would have to fold them, tape them shut, put an address label on them, and then also put a stamp on them. Because of the shape of the newsletter, they don't go through the bulk mailing machine, so you have to hand stamp them. So it was a lot of work. So what we would be looking for is not only that they would sell ads, but a organization that directly mails them. So somewhere where we can get them a document. These are our 400 names that need them mailed, and they just mail them, so that we're not having volunteers here doing it by hand. And then with that, also maybe sending us 100 copies or something to have available at the front desk when people come, we can give it to them.
Got it, okay. And you've spoken to all the local people?
Yeah, the challenge we have too is we actually have to go out and do a formal procurement process around it, and it becomes a little more challenging because the value of the ads comes into play. So even though we're not funding necessarily the cost by, getting an invoice and the town writing a check, there's value to contracting with us. So it adds a little bit of a complexity to the procurement side of it. So part of this is trying to connect with publishers and explain what we need, if they can meet that need, and then we need to go out, do a formal procurement process.
And part of the difficulty that we're running into is there's a lot of companies who do the printing side but don't sell ads. And it seems that there's only really 2 companies that do a newsletter where they will sell the ads in this area that other senior centers use. And one was the company that we were working with previously, and another company who is not as forthcoming with the financial side of things. So it's a little bit of a difficult process right now.
Understood.
But we're trying.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's like 3 different skills. It's like a mail house, a printer, and salespeople. It's 3 different, yeah.
Yeah, I actually kind of naively thought there would be like one big organization, but it doesn't really, it seems to be a lot of very small, like family run or very, 3 or 4 employee operations.
I wanted to ask about the, what is the policy right now for the eligibility for affordable senior housing? If I understand correctly, that it's state-based and does not necessarily go with the town of Westborough residents first. I'd like to see that change, but I don't know, so I'm asking to, could you explain it?
So that's not something that we decide, that is the state of Massachusetts decision. There is some preference at the state level for locals, so if you've lived in Westborough for a long time and you're applying for Westborough, there is some preference for people who have resided in town, but when you are filling out the CHAMP application, which is the public housing application, you do have to rank a series of towns, and they will offer you, and I'm not exactly sure, I believe 3 different locations before they say, okay, well, if you won't take these 3, you're back at the bottom of the list essentially, because the housing is so limited. So for example, you could apply and it could be an emergency. So if you've lost your housing, or you've been in an accident and you can no longer work and you can no longer afford your housing, you would then be considered an emergency, which does not mean it's immediate, but those people do take precedence over anyone who is on the regular list. So if you're, top on the list in Westborough, but then someone that has an emergency case comes in, they would be the ones that would qualify for that apartment first. But at the town level, there's really nothing that we can do as far as getting people in Westborough, into Westborough housing first. All of those decisions are made at the state level.
Thank you.
It is on the plan though,
Marilyn?
to advocate, identify and advocate for regulatory or policy changes.
Yes.
Right. Explore eligibility for resident prioritization.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that, you know, it won't change or that senior centers can't have that conversation and that older adults in the state can't have that conversation. It doesn't mean it won't change, it's just right now, it's not up to us.
Marilyn?
So on the last page as high priority, it says to expand online program registration, recognizing that online sign-up cannot be the sole means. So there are still, besides Willows, there are still people in condos, private homes, who don't have access. And will that still be one of the high priorities addressed as to how to disseminate information and programming?
Yeah, we don't have a way to register online as it is now. I would like to have that option for people that can use it, but being able to call and sign up is not going away. At no point will that go away, and we have plenty of people who come in here in person to sign up for a future event as well.
But they still have to have access to the programming to know what to sign up for.
That's from the newsletter, yeah.
Right.
But the newsletter is on the computer.
They're getting the newsletter mailed still. Everyone that's on the list is still getting
Those
it
who
mailed.
want it mailed are getting, they
Yes,
still have it
yeah,
mailed.
yeah, that hasn't stopped.
Okay, and that will continue?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Any of our conversations around expanding the use of technology has always acknowledged that there will be a need to continue to have alternative means. So it's always been about expanding the use of technology and not taking away the ability to have copies of things like through the newsletter or to be able to call and register to do it in person. It's just another, it's been an expansion, not a way of reducing or cutting out the.
Those who get it by mail, do you know how soon before the first of the month they might get it so they can sign up for that first week?
Since I've been here, they've been getting it at least a week before the month
Oh, good,
starts.
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
It's been a major improvement.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, that's all the questions I have.
Actually, I came across a flyer from October 22 that we used to put out that talks about the programs we were running at that time. Can something like this go out along with or after or during the newsletter?
A lot of it's the same information as what's in the
I know,
newsletter.
it's just another form.
I would say
Get it
we're
out
moving
there.
away from, I would rather not mail out more than we have to.
Or just have it around town, because we do put these at banks and stores and we're all around
Yeah,
town.
I find that, cause I've seen that in, my
This is
office.
smaller than going through every page and.
Yeah, I would say right now, we're kind of limiting what
Okay.
printed material, it doesn't
I'm
mean
just
in
throwing
the
that out
future.
there, it was
Yeah.
another medium to use.
Another one that we've been trying to take advantage of, and this is addressed in the implementation plan, more cross promotion. So having the recreation department particularly, not only programming that's occurring over at the community center, but also other senior programming that may be happening here. They are more than willing to advertise in their recreation brochure. And then similarly, the library does a lot of marketing of their programs, and they have expressed a willingness to also that cross promotion. So I think rather to, just to Kendra's point, if there are other materials that are already going out, so through those departments, and I think the other place is we have a great community resource with Westborough Connects. They're a really good partner. If there are major events coming up, they're always good at advertising. So
Yeah.
to the extent that those things already exist, people are already looking at them, that's where we're trying to.
I did find some other information. I didn't even know all this information was here. And a friend of mine was looking for more resources, because she's now using a walker and all that. But Springwell has a sheet here. They have information here at the senior center that maybe could be out in the community more. I mean, it has all the numbers, the Council on Aging, Veterans, all
Yeah.
that, food pantry. And then they talk about transportation, they have a whole list of deliveries from different stores around town.
I will
I mean, it's a
say
wealth of information.
that has to come from them. I can't put out the spring wall. Like
Okay,
I
just saying,
couldn't-
I saw it
yeah.
here, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow,
They-
this is a great resource of general information.
They brought those here, but I can't go and put those out because it's theirs.
Oh, so
it's their
Would you have to
information.
contact Springwell to somehow get that, or?
Yes, yeah. They would have to put it out themselves. They would have to bring it to the different
Because otherwise, it
places.
sits somewhere over there,
Yeah,
and
but
nobody
it's-
sees it.
it's-
I
it's-
just happened to see it because I was with another friend who needed it.
It's not up to us.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
their information.
But it's, I mean, it talks
their-
about transportation, it lists various transportation means, it talks about the WITA. It's, to me, it's a wealth of information for resources. And somehow we could get it out to the community more.
No, that would be up to them to put out, to distribute.
Okay, I'll get my staff on it. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Is there an appropriation for the Council on Aging to have articles in the Community Advocate that we get every week?
Any article that they do about the senior center or a program is something I've invited them to and is more of a human interest piece that they're doing. It's not, if we were to take out an advertisement, we would have to pay for it. But that's not something that we have a budget for, which is why we don't share our programs or anything like that in it.
But
In
anyone-
my experience, the advocate puts in what they want to, and if they run out of space, they eliminate people like us.
Yes, so
they
noted after the town meeting. That's the next agenda. Oh. Okay, so are we done with talking about what the goals are gonna go now? They're gonna be more summarized, and we'll attack them as needed?
I'm just thinking timeline for that. Your next meeting is December.
It would be December 8th.
Yeah, we're just in the midst of the FY '27 budget is due by December 21st, so
Okay.
January,
So
to
probably
present at
January,
your
yeah.
January meeting
I
might be
know,
better.
running
Yeah.
against holidays and all
It might
that.
be December,
that
it would be
works.
January 12th, the
Okay.
week before Martin Luther King.
Okay, so January timeframe is
Yep.
summary.
To the extent that we have something that we can get out ahead of time so you can take a look at it. What I'm envisioning is adding another column or two to what's already here because I have that and can add to it. And then we can just run through. I mean, I already was looking at it and there are quite a few things we've made
Right.
some progress on, so. Okay.
Okay. Next agenda item is the October special town meeting. And probably especially in regard to what happened to the Article 7 that was defeated for the renovations of the pool at the recreation center. There's been, naturally, I stated my support of the article at the town meeting. But when I was there, I noticed there was such an influx of people coming in to the meeting. You knew that they were there to vote it down, which it was just that. It was just that feeling I got the way things were going, and so the article was defeated. Which left me and others have addressed concern about what will happen in the future, the future senior center build-out at the recreation center, at the community center. And also, would that, any renovation or any future articles for the senior center at the community center be coming up in March and spring? Or would it wait till fall? And if so, is there anything we can do to put a positive light on that?
Yeah. Diane, can I just say a few words
Oh, sure.
about the town meeting? So we all know that the the effort to repair the pool was turned down, and the estimate was $800,000, and it was coming out of what's called free money, so it wasn't going to impact our residents, taxes. I think what was more striking to me is what Diane just said, that there were so many negative perceptions of the community center, up to the point where several people said, let's just sell the building. So, Ev and I were talking about what can be done. We have at least, I would say, a year. I think at best, an article would come up in March of 2027 at best, where we would perhaps ask for phase one monies for the community center. It could take even longer. But I think between now and then, which I would say at least a year, could be a little over a year, we need to figure out the best way to change the perception in Westborough of what the community center is and what it's going to provide to the town residents, or else it's not going to get done. And then I don't know what's going to happen to this building, which is at this point an asset and will, deteriorate over time. So, a couple of things to think about. I think it's important to put together some sort of very positive, concise communication about the community center. What it is, why the building was purchased, the due diligence that was done. From what I understand, building a whole new building for the senior center was an option. Remodeling this building was an option. And then this other building came up that seemed to be the best option in terms of monies. It was an existing building that would have to be, remodeled. So I think it's important to develop some sort of concise, positive communication that could be distributed. How it would be distributed, I don't know yet, but I think that's important to get everybody, on board. I think it would also be useful, since the rec center is using the building right now, for Jen to put together the statistics. This is basically what's offered. And she kind of had that put together for the pool, but in general, not, she can put together something that will address all the activities and all the attendance and et cetera. So I think that would be useful. And then somehow, and I don't know how we would do this, but how to do PR with the town. Do we and not, I don't mean we like Council on Aging, we, the big we, do we go out to, grocery stores? Do we go out to, different ways of getting out there and getting the message, the message out? Do we get an article and maybe the consumer, what's it called again? Community advocate. Maybe an article there would help. So just
put it in.
Just ideas. The other thing, I think the main issue really for residents is, and which is very understandable, is how much is this going to cost us out of pocket? Mm-hmm. And it's my guess, that, at least for the next year, the economic cycle won't be favoring us, and I think everyone's concerned about the future. And so what can we do to minimize what the expenses, out-of-pocket expenses, are for the community center? And so one thing that I think could impact it is if we knew what this building is appraised at. And obviously we can't be held to that figure, because let's say we don't start remodeling the existing community center until 2027, who knows what the prices could, they could be higher than what appraisal we get today, it could be lower, we don't know. But I think that could be a figure that might help sell the community center. The other thing I thought was perhaps Kendra could take a look at the designs that were done. And, I think the architects put together a beautiful, design. But it'd be nice to have someone like Kendra, who has a lot of experience with senior centers, to take a look and say, well, this could be maybe trimmed a little bit. And I say, trim the fat, not the muscle. We want something to, this could be improved. We could save X amount of money if we change this. And I think asking Kendra to take a look at that would be great. And then finally, I think, just to address the financial part of it, Ev and I were talking about possibility of looking into avenues of fundraising. And, I don't know who in town can help us with, with fundraising efforts. But, again, it's another way of looking at really lowering the impact to our residents' pocketbook. If we can, raise some money, and give, most likely I think it would be, companies or corporations who, and maybe we can put together a logo or a plaque or something at the center to thank them. So anyway, I don't know what we can and cannot do, Kim. So
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I think this has come up and we've tried to address this. We, the town, and that includes the Council on Aging as a body, we cannot engage in fundraising. So if there is an interest, that would have to sit with an outside entity such as the supporters. They're established as a nonprofit, they do fundraising.
We visited them last week.
So there are opportunities, and if not through that group, it would need to be through a separate entity, typically created as a nonprofit, so they can do those fundraising efforts, but legally the town cannot. One of the things, there has been outreach through my office from individuals in the community, and I think part of this is identifying there are others who are very interested in helping or seeing if there are opportunities to fundraise. So I think part of what Kendra and I have talked about is needing to help connect some of the groups that are in the community, because I think one of the conversations has been, it's going to be very helpful that it's not just seniors advocating for the fit up of the senior center, and we know there are many in the community who are not seniors who are supportive of the project. In terms of, so I think that's something that, just to be clear, as members of the Council on Aging, you can participate in one of those other entities, but that work of fundraising has to be directed by someone other than staff or the council as a body.
You could be a private citizen though.
Right, so you can participate with the supporters, or if a foundation were established, or if there were another fundraising entity established. Members of the council can participate. You just, it can't be, that work cannot be directed by this body or by staff.
Can I add a little color?
Sure.
So when Mirth and I discussed all this, we discussed that she was the calmest person to present all of our points. I tend to be a little less calm, but passionate, I think you would say. Mirth is going to kick me if I'm out of line. I don't intend to be out of line. What was particularly disturbing about the pool vote is it was a harbinger of things to come for the senior center, but it really smacked the whole community. And that's when I was like, whoa, what just happened here? Because that was for families. And that's what really got me thinking that if we can't help with the pool, and I'm talking community, Jen's group and us, or some coalition, if you will, of people, we're not gonna get a pool, we're not gonna get a senior center, and that building's going to rot. So to me, I see that as our number one problem heading forward. People were venomous about the building, like venomous about how dare they spend our money, and they bought bad, they didn't do an evaluation or an inspection. Come on, okay? So there is, if we don't change the perceptions of this building immediately, which I was suggesting perhaps a select board thought leadership piece or something like that, and develop a coalition of concerned citizens, if you will. I also think there's another opportunity, which is to pay attention to what the library did in this last year. So Kate came in, and I have to say, I think she did a masterful job, because the library kept getting smacked and smacked and smacked, and finally she said, why are we getting smacked? Well, we're not gonna get a new building, we're not gonna get this, so let's listen to the people and do what they're asking for. I was also noting in our priorities that for the building, we note an adequate and appropriate facilities. Adequate and appropriate. And I think that's a lot of what town might not understand from the designs that were put forth, because we did allow town over time to get this bigger and more bloated and discuss, extra elevators, and we had a lot of opinion that came into this big, beautiful place that I just don't think is gonna pass.
Can I just clarify that? The preferred design that was brought forward that was just around $10 million was actually a scaled down version of the initial, and I think for those of you who remember the early options, I think that ended up being the fourth option. I think the most costly of the initial options was closer to 15 million, maybe even north of that, if anybody remembers.
The clock's ticking, so that 10 million's going up as we speak.
So my concern is to maybe reframe where we are today. I don't disagree. I think the pool, I'm not sure. I think where we are today, people have significant concerns about spending and taxes. One of the things that I think how this board can potentially help this project ultimately be successful is to really focus on describing why we need a new senior center. So that narrative of why it is needed. The idea that we can look at the plans and take down a few walls here or there and drop the project by millions, because that's really what we're doing. We're putting up a lot of walls. It's the initial phase is really, I think, about 16,000 square feet that reflects the senior center with additional fit up in the building, at this point identified as a subsequent phase. So I don't know that there's a lot of bloat or fat there, and I just want to be cautious that we don't start to perpetuate that narrative.
And I probably, and apologies, I probably did focus too much on that, because I really do think it starts at the perception of the building.
Yep.
If we can get an $800,000 free cash, and then Jen and you did a great job of explaining how the rest of the programs are going to be paid, and it's for the whole community, not just seniors, we don't get a $10 million senior center. It just doesn't. I don't see any way from that town meeting to success for a senior center.
So one of the things too, and this is, we've had the conversation, the actual cost, so let me step back. At this point, the timeline is uncertain because the board has not had subsequent conversation. The last conversation that the select board had, they indicated they would not bring the project forward at the fall special town meeting that we just held. And in part, that discussion and that conversation was shaped by the library going in there. And we saw significant cost savings by having the library be able to use that space while their project is completed. My understanding is their project is actually running, knock on wood, for a public construction project. They're running on time. And so what we're in part doing, each month that we get further into their renovation project, we have a better sense of if it's really staying on track for its timeline, when would the library be moving out? And then when does it become realistic to plug in bringing the project forward to have the work commence? So that would be the next discussion that we would expect the board to have is to have some more conversation around the timeline. With that conversation, there are a couple of other things going on right now, including the development of a long-range capital plan. The town typically produces a 5-year capital plan. We've really built it out to look 10 years out, so really a 15-year plan that looks at major projects, pretty much anything that fits under our capital projects, including some building projects, as well as matching that up to where our current debt for projects that we already have underway starts to fall off on the debt schedule, with the idea that if you're gonna have a new expense related to the senior center, but you plug it in when another project is completed or the debt is going away, there's a piece to the financial, and again, that requires a lot of explanation, that it is a cost, but you're backfilling something that you've just finished paying for. In addition to understanding what available funds or future funds, i.e. the sale of this building, could yield as an offset to the $10 million cost. So we do have funding right now to survey the property and to have an appraisal done. However, we didn't feel it was prudent to do an appraisal now, and those are not inexpensive.
Right.
To do the appraisal until we got closer to that timeline, because they're only valid for a certain period of time. So there is the understanding that people will want, and by the time we start talking about this in earnest, we would have a better sense of the potential value of the sale of this building, which, you know, there's a little bit of a timing issue there, but ultimately, once we hopefully move in, and this building is sold, there would be funds that would be applied to the cost. There's also some other available funds from the sale of other buildings that have already occurred. So it really is, that has not yet been packaged together, because there's still conversation going on, and there's still information that we will need to get when we have a firmer timeline.
I think that's like the best news ever, is that we have a very interesting amount of time. But the time that we have to use usefully to change perceptions, like if the town wasn't going to accept essentially a free pool, they are not going to accept this. And the pool is for everyone. Yeah. I mean, so when Mirtha and I were chatting, we don't just want to dump problems here. That's like not how I roll. That's why we were suggesting that, like, no time like the present or after the holidays, to somehow start. I mean, we're a small town, we're 21,000 people. It's a good time to start communicating on why that building is so important to this community, and the due diligence that was done, because we've got to clean up that perception.
Yeah, no, I think the town manager and I were talking about it, and really, if this body can focus on describing why a new space is needed, I think that goes a long way to supporting like that narrative and that level of detail, that potentially some videos showing the current space.
I was also thinking too that, see, Jen just does such a great job, but I think one of the challenges Jen has is she's so busy doing her job, she doesn't have time to toot her own horn. So I think like interviewing people who go there and showing the numbers, because somebody even said, well, you know, we put in the community center, and what do we have to show for it? There's like a lot of programming going on there. So I think that, you know, like PR begins at home, and I think the good news is, because this is all delayed, we have an opportunity to make a difference right now. And as for the fundraising, Mirtha and I did attend the Friends of meeting, and I wouldn't say they're gonna roll that direction. They're more about programming, I feel, which is great. We need the programming.
I'd like to speak to this issue, if I may.
Please.
I am a senior. I am retired. I am a widow. I pay for my own health insurance. I pay a condo fee every month, etc., and so forth. If I want to go swimming, I can go to the YMCA. I have to live within a budget. And if I can't afford to go to the YMCA, okay. But you're asking me to increase my tax bill, which is just about the biggest bill, I think many of us,
I'm trying to ask us not to increase the tax bill.
but it will. I mean, that's politics, that's life. And I think to ask people, I'm not a pool swimmer. My family has beautiful backyard pool. I'm the grandmother that sits so that the grandchildren can swim in the pool and watch them,
But may I respectfully then ask you, if the programs were all going to pay for themselves that Jen was going to do based on the pool, that didn't make you feel okay because it wasn't coming out of your budget?
I do not believe that for a moment. I'm sorry.
That's what I mean,
truly
perception
don't.
is a situation.
I really don't. I think this has put an awful burden on the backs of taxpayers. The 800,000 was one thing, but the notice in the newspaper that followed that article that outlined the additional expenses monthly to have that pool. Like I said, I joined the tennis club over here, and when I can't afford it, I have to resign. I can go to the YMCA. If I can't afford it, I can resign. My taxes, the only other option I have is to move out of the town. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about it.
I firmly agree and respect your opinion.
I
Thank
want
you.
to say something also. You mentioned, the phrase you used was a free pool. It wasn't free. They were going to use what they called free cash, which many of the speakers said could be used for items that are needed to be paid for. If they didn't get lifeguards, the pool wouldn't be open, and lifeguards have been an issue. The other thing you have to deal with is many people have been very angry that when they were asked to approve the purchase of the building, they were never told how much it would cost for renovations or to change things. So you have to deal with that issue. There are a lot of angry people in town.
That's my
And
point.
there are a lot of people who, like Linda said, felt the pool was a redundancy, that if you want, you can find the way to use a pool. But if the pool doesn't open for lack of whatever, we've spent money on something that is just going to sit there. So there are a lot of issues. It's not technically a free pool, and you've got a lot of angry people out there. So the fact that we might need a renovated senior center, that's a whole different issue. But when whoever brought the pool into it, I think that really probably put the kibosh on it for a lot of people. So you're going to have a huge PR problem with the senior citizens who do have fixed incomes.
We had issues initially when that came to play, but when it came time to vote, I recall a lot of seniors in the community came in full force this time, and that's who got it over the finish line and got the building approved initially. But there's still people upset about it. But it was the amount of seniors that came in to approve the building because of the whole concept of it.
I was trying to find a number, but I can't find one exactly, but the Northborough Senior Center is, in this area, a lot of people, when you want an example or you want to visit a nice senior center, people will send you to Northborough. That building, when it was completed, way before COVID happened, I think it was done in 2011, I'm not 100% sure, was around $10 million at that point. That was pre-COVID prices, where now everything is significantly more expensive. So for us to be able to have something comparable, something that, because it's 10 years newer, would probably be even nicer for the same price as what that cost at that point, I don't think that we would ever have that opportunity again. And I think what is important to get across is that if we didn't purchase that building, it's not likely that we could have a new senior center for $10 million without that space
I think that's already there.
I'm not sure they would be against the senior center per se. I think when the pool got thrown into it, that was a problem.
Well, I've been to several town hall meetings now, and I moved here in 23, so I didn't go in 23. Every single town hall meeting, they bring up selling the building because they feel like it's a waste.
The new building?
The new
Not
building.
this one.
Every single town hall meeting I've been to, it comes up all the time. And so I feel it's important for Westborough to have a new senior center. I think it's very important. The building that was purchased has the first floor, which will be the senior center. The top floor is called a recreation center. It has rooms for exercise, and it has a pool. It came with a pool.
The pool wasn't working. People knew it.
That's fine, but I think that
It was working, we chose to drain it because we weren't gonna occupy it immediately, but it was.
So-
There was a
Well,
fellow
the
that,
perception was that it wasn't working.
Well, that was
So I'm
incorrect.
correcting the
People who spoke to
perception,
me.
the
Yeah.
pool was functioning when we
Yeah.
purchased
Up
I
to-
it.
think,
before.
I think that's, a lot of the issues, I think, are really perception. The perception, there are many incorrect perceptions.
Yep.
And I think we're gonna end up with no senior center unless we try to turn this perception around and try to minimize, and I'm glad to hear about the way you explain capital expenditures, that's
Yep.
wonderful. But I think that's also important for our seniors, for residents to know that it's not gonna impact, try to minimize the impact of taxes. I'm not saying we're gonna have to pay more taxes, that's the way life is, but try to minimize it. But I think this negative perception of the building is
Nothing happens till we fix it.
really, exactly, and it's so short-sighted, because we obviously need a new senior center. We
But
do, we deserve a new
They never said
senior.
that the pool was working,
So
so
I
if
think
it was working, why couldn't you
The
just fill
pool
it?
to
Why does
me
it cost
is done.
800,000?
The pool wasn't funded, and I don't know, I think what I'm hearing is to start to change that perception. The narrative really needs to be developed on why there's a need for a new senior center.
That's part one, but I'm also going to recommend that even though the pool is dead, there's an opportunity to show this town, we gotta go down fighting, okay? We have to show this town that there's something we want and we're willing to go out and try and raise money to make this happen. And the pool can be a very interesting way to go about this. Sorry, am I annoying?
No.
Okay. Because like, let's say, the top 40 employers in
But I just
Westborough-
wanna be careful, cause we can't, so
No,
we should-
I'm
we should-
recommending a coalition of concerned citizens.
So I think that conversation sort of needs to move. I think this council recognizing if that exists and there are members on this council who want to participate and can contribute to that, that is the way that other building projects, both in this community as well as in other communities, can yield a lot of success in raising funds. And you could, to your point, if you have a cross-section of the community and have access to a lot of different entities in the community, you could be very successful.
I moved here 4 years ago. I mean, I can kind of feel how this,
There's a lot of folks out there, though, who have an interest that we've heard from that probably, even if the supporters were to take it on, like, I think there are people who aren't typically connected to the senior center and the activities here who see the value in the project. And so it's making sure that we get all those folks who might not otherwise be currently connected involved.
We can't solve that here now, anyway.
I would like to add, Guido and I have been a member of the Council on Aging for many years. We were given the police, the fire, and this was before Kim and Christie, before the current folks that we're working with. We were given a nice chunk of money. Town wouldn't let us spend it. Every time we wanted this room painted, no, you can't spend that money. We had buses on the road, senior center buses, right, Guido? That were falling apart. And we wanted to buy a new bus, and the answer was no. it took us probably 3 or 4 years, if not more, Guido,
Eventually, yeah.
to get a new bus. We wanted to make changes to the senior center. We needed more room. The administration downtown at that time just kept saying, no, no, no. We did the best that we could do. We wanted to
Understood.
do things
And that's thousands, not millions.
that, we just could not. We tried our level best, and I said at one of the meetings, to the director at the time, why don't you just order the bus? This one they were always out for repair, blah, blah. And she said, I can order the bus, but the town won't register it or insure it. It will just sit out here unusable. So these are the situations that we have faced. And I fully agree.
That's town money. That was
We have
town
to-
money,
I
correct?
think we should
Yes.
move on.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
We spent a lot of time
Yeah.
on this, and we can't
Yeah.
do anything about it.
We can't.
Well, this is,
I
That's
don't wanna be
depressing.
rude, but we need to move on to more, but they get the drift. So Paula?
I just have one comment. The pool got declined. We do have to move on from that. Do we need another pool? I don't know.
That
in
wasn't
town.
the point.
I understand. Can we give another perception of, well, then what can we do with that space? Can we make the space on the second floor?
What's the alternative? Yeah.
Yeah, what's the alternative? I also think that we are seeing numbers of, again, I'm gonna bring this up because I do every time. We're seeing numbers of how many people go through here in a day, and we're not tracking how many seniors are taking advantage of programs in this building. And I think you'd be surprised at how many people are actually
I know,
going.
and-
So I think that we have to move on from the pool, if that's what the
My
town
only
felt.
point with the pool, and I didn't end that conversation, is it could be a very significant lead into fundraising. And the reason I mention this is because there's a huge wall that can have recognition for the top 40 vendors, let's say, or people.
We can't keep discussing this here over and over again.
Okay,
No,
I'm done.
because
Nothing more
Right
important.
now, the pool issue is really up to the recreation department, what they want to, plan B, if they may have a plan B and C, whatever. But basically, the pool is their issue. But it does make us look forward to what we may need to do to get our senior center over there and what a program. So we do need to change the perception of that building and to accept the senior center issues.
Kim,
So we don't,
what's the schedule for the library construction? Is it the end of next year? Was it an 18-month process?
I think it ended up being a little bit, about 18 months, and
So
so,
then they started what, in May?
I think they anticipated,
It's
All right,
6
so
already.
October or so of next year,
It's, I think.
just to get a rough
the fall
idea.
of next year.
it was the fall, and,
Okay,
some of us who have.
26.
Fall of '26.
fall of 26.
Some of us who have been through building projects before, I think we're adjusting it,
I know.
and that's the part where,
But you
knock
say
on wood.
they're pretty much on schedule, which
Yeah.
is very good
Yeah.
news, yeah?
So we may be looking at the fall, so
Because the
the,
anticipation was 27, early 27 maybe, initially.
so
So
by
if they
chance is the
stay-
library under budget for that construction?
I don't know to where they stand right, they're not done yet, so I think it's challenging when you're at this stage
Okay.
of the project. But I mean, to your point, I just I'll finish this, I think we were talking about what the library project was able to do successfully, and in my opinion, they were really able to articulate the need for the repair project that came forward, and they highlighted the deficiencies that existed in that building that are very real. So I feel like that's the parallel that the council could engage in, like what are the deficiencies within this space, and really start to build that case and that narrative for why a new center is needed. And I appreciated whoever made that mention of the library project, because they went at it, they really there was a lot that went into that, and I think they were able to do a lot
They got
to-
the town excited is what they did.
Yeah,
Um,
about the, so I think that's maybe the model to follow, and I suspect
Agree.
there are probably some very willing partners who had a lot of lessons learned in doing that, that might be able to help save a few headaches and some angst.
By chance, was there any incentive in that contract to be done earlier?
You-
Sometimes they put that in a contract to get it
I don't
done.
think that typically follows in the
Okay.
construction contracts, because usually the way they're bid is, I don't know for sure, but that's not typically what you would see in the construction contract.
I've seen it in others.
Sometimes they go the flip side of that, that you have a specific time, and if you don't meet timelines, there's additional
You have to
costs
pay, yeah.
incurred, that are effectively, I think what you're saying, but almost like a chargeback that the town gets.
So you don't anticipate any senior center articles until maybe next fall?
I don't know what to expect because the board hasn't had subsequent discussion. The potential time frame that I would expect the question might be asked and there might be discussion, even if it's preliminary, it would be in the January, February timeframe when they're talking about the upcoming budget year. And it's also in January that the full-fledged long-term capital plan will be presented and discussed.
So possibly March timeframe?
Potentially.
Yes. Yes.
I think the question is likely to come up in the context of the board talking about the annual town meeting in March and whether, if they've determined a timeline. And again, that's based on the long-range capital, the status of the library project, so there are quite a few considerations. I think they're just not prepared to have that discussion now.
Okay.
May I ask one quick question? Would we be getting, will we be getting an updated membership list of the Council on Aging?
Oh, I was gonna ask Kendra that today.
Okay, thank you.
So I can check that off my list? Can we get an updated council listing? Council member listing?
Oh, yeah, because of this,
I haven't had one for a couple of years, so. And we have 2 new members.
Okay.
List with contact
Just like
information.
yeah, that's no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. Check that off. Okay, so, we're done with discussion, but it will come up again. As far as any updates of any events, you all know the fair is this coming Saturday. But along with that, there was a turkey raffle that you all signed up to donate items. So in case you forgot, I have a copy. But everybody remembers what they're bringing to donate. And you can drop it off. We're gonna-
Marilyn's is in the office already.
When do we drop the food off?
I'll get into that.
Oh, sorry?
The schedule right now is drop off on Wednesday. We'll be there after 2. And someone will be around and if you have any items for the raffle basket. There should be a large basket on the first pool table. If not, Jan, Gary, and I will be around to direct you. And, or you can drop it off Thursday after 11:05. Same thing. And then Friday we'll be around setting up, putting our merchandise on the tables. So we'll be around. So that's your time frame. Wednesday after 2, Thursday after 11:05. I like saying that. And then Friday we'll be around.
All day. All day.
Yes. So, as far as future agenda item requests, actually I had, I'm hoping to have Affordable Housing Trust maybe December, January timeframe to come in and speak to us about that trust fund and what the update is there. And then, I was wondering if we could add a self-defense course to one of these programs, so, yeah.
Unrelated, I have already asked the police department about doing a senior, self-defense program.
And then, AIP has a lot of presentations they do. Maybe have them come in and pick a topic.
I reached out to them after the MCOA conference to do a safe driving,
Same.
yeah, safe.
This is scary.
Safe driving demonstration.
Okay, so our next meeting date is December 8th, 1 o'clock. Rest up. Keep your seatbelts on. Make a motion to adjourn. Linda?
Second.
Nancy was.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't the first one this time.
Yeah,
I
wanna do this?
know, but I
Sure you wanna do
figured it's better hold off.
All those in favor?
Make a motion, all in favor of voting to adjourn? Aye, aye.